I am super bummed out about it. I think there is a problem when you do this so many times over. I think we were talking about a little bit earlier in the Discord is things like this start to become, there's like a problem with relevance.
People are going to be wondering about The Brave and the Bold, which is supposed to be Andy Muschietti's Batman movie that's supposed to be in the DCU.
Which means that's definitely not coming out in 2027. Why would you release two Batman movies
In the same
year?
Exactly.
So that either has to come out in 26, which doesn't seem too likely. They'd have to start that process now. So that doesn't seem to be happening. So that means that won't happen until 28 at the earliest.
Yeah, that maybe it's taking Matt Reeves so long to write the script for the Batman Part 2 because he's simultaneously working on the script for to finish the trilogy with a Batman Part 3. Pattinson and Gunn are on the same team, and they want Pattinson to be in the DCU. Matt Reeves is on the other side, saying he doesn't want Pattinson to be in the DCU. And I don't necessarily think that makes a lot of sense, because I want to emphasize that, though, that a lot of this stuff is going to be kind of speculation and rumors. We're going to hit everything as much as we can beforehand, letting you know what speculation, whether it's from a reliable source or not.
Welcome to Backseat Directing.
We talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and more.
We're your hosts,
Andrew
and Arron, with Denver.
We post new episodes every Monday and Thursday.
And today we're talking about the Batman Part 2 being rescheduled and other DC news.
A 3, a 2, a 1.
Action! Today we have gathered here to talk about some pretty bad news, boys. I'm happy to see you, Denver, but I am not happy with what we're talking about today, and that is the Batman Part 2 getting pushed another year. This is the second time that this has happened.
Can I organize
am not emotionally stable enough to be able to handle this.
Can I organize a moment of silence for the Batman Part 2 2026? Okay, that was enough. No one wants
It wasn't enough.
No one wants to listen to a silent podcast. But and to lift our spirits, we brought some new set decorations for Batman, and we got these little these little mini figures, these little The Batman pops with the special Joker from
That's really
1989
cool. That's
Batman.
my first time seeing
I
that.
think we've had this one over here, but it's a pop for Batman Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, that was on the
Who
bookshelf
doesn't
that we
like
had.
Arkham Asylum?
Yeah.
Classic.
All right. Batman got pushed again. What are your guys' thoughts here?
There's a lot to get into. There's a lot to dig in here because right now there's a lot of swirling rumors and speculation. We're going to talk about most everything, at least everything that I can remember.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about a lot of the guessing stuff that you guys will hear us get to pretty much all this throughout the episode. Speculation about the reasons why it was pushed, Matt Reeves' writing process, speculation about whether Pattinson is being planned to join the DCU or not. And then we'll talk about some of the other DC news that Arron mentioned. There's also news about the title of the Batman as well that is currently in flux. I don't know if you guys heard that too.
It's not good news, I feel like.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, so one of the things that came out, I think it was in the Hollywood Reporter's article about the Batman being pushed to 2027, was that the name was originally the Batman Part 2, but right now that name is currently been removed, and it's not set in place permanently as the title. So it could be, the Batman : Mr. Freeze gets kicked in the nuts. It could be anything, or it could end up being the Batman Part 2. I don't know. That's why this episode, like I said, will be a fair
Batman else world no more.
it's
The Batman again.
the Batman at the end. No wait, the Batman Dead Reckoning. Yeah. The Batman The Last Dance. That's what the rest of this episode is. Just us making up titles. No, but I want to emphasize that, though, that a lot of this stuff is going to be kind of speculation and rumors. We're going to hit everything as much as we can beforehand, letting you know what speculation, whether it's from a reliable source or not, because we have some information that's come out that's directly from James Gunn and his Twitter page, some words that are right out of Matt Reeves' mouth, and then a lot of speculation from industry insider people, people making comments like John Campea. This is a huge personality on YouTube. He said that there will be an announcement soon regarding further involvement of Matt Reeves in the DCU. So what that means, we don't know. I mean, it seems to insinuate in favor of the hypothesis that the Batman might be more involved in the DCU. Maybe that, just conjecture here again, that Matt Reeves is making a deal with James Gunn where Matt Reeves maybe has control over Batman stories. I've heard people speculate this, where Pattinson will join the DCU, but it's going to be under Matt Reeves' control over every aspect of where Batman is. And then Batman, subsidiaries like Clayface, like Matt Reeves having sign off on Mike Flanagan's Clayface movie, stuff like that. But we'll try to get into things here and there as we go along. The opening headline is the Batman, which has already been originally pushed from 2025 to 2026, now being pushed from October 2nd, 2026 to October 1st, 2027. And so just general remarks. Denver, as our guest, I want to hear what you have to say about, how do you feel about that?
I am super bummed out about it. I think there is a problem when you do this so many times over. I think we were talking about a little bit earlier in the Discord, is things like this start to become, there's like a problem with relevance. And when people are super pumped for something and then you keep kind of just dangling it above them and you push it back again, then it's kind of like, is it happening? Are we going to get what we want? Things like that.
I'm actually really glad that you said that, because that's something I was thinking about this and I might have forgotten to bring up. But the concept that the first movie, The Batman, comes out in 2022. Now we're looking at 5 years between movies. And yeah, my excitement level is probably going to, maybe dip a tiny bit. I'll still be super excited when we get closer to 2027. Right now, I kind of got to put my excitement on the fucking back burner because I can't be excited for 2 years straight. Yeah.
Deep down, like a man.
But the thing is, not just the excitement and like the relevance, but also the confusion in the general public, because they're going to watch Superman come out next year and then maybe one or two other DCU projects before they get a new Batman movie. And people are going to be wondering about The Brave and the Bold, which is supposed to be Andy Muschietti's Batman movie that's supposed to be in the DCU.
Which means that's definitely not coming out in 2027. Why would you release two Batman movies in the same year?
Exactly.
So that either has to come out in 26, which doesn't seem too likely. They'd have to start that process now. So that doesn't seem to be happening. So that means that won't happen until 28 at the earliest, if they're not bringing in Pattinson's Batman into the DCU, which means we'll have Superman in 25, and then we won't have a Batman until 28.
Yeah, and
that's pretty crazy even for the DCU side of things.
Which it would be cool to get Batman movies in 2 back-to-back years. And that's another one of the fan theories. I have no backing of a source for this, but people have suggested the idea that maybe it's taking Matt Reeves so long to write the script for the Batman Part 2 because he's simultaneously working on the script to finish the trilogy with a Batman Part 3, and maybe he wants both completed before he starts it, which would be, the concept behind that would be that the third movie would come out closer to the second movie, instead of having this long gap like we have with the first.
But we haven't heard anything about Part 3 at all, so...
Well, when you Google, Batman delayed, the first thing that comes up underneath said image of the Batman is it's pushed back due to a Tom Cruise film that has Robert Pattinson in it. That's when you Google it, and you look at it, and then you go and you look at all these other Twitter pages saying that it's a script issue. So it's super confusing because I looked it up today. I was like, let's see what it says. Why did it actually get pushed back? What are the rumors? And it was saying that there was some kind of issue with that, and it just makes you think did something happen in between from now the Penguin and that Superman trailer, that there was a reaction that kind of caused something to go, oh, okay, maybe we kind of lean into the Batman with the Superman and see how it goes.
To me, the Penguin is it's obviously very deeply rooted in the Batman universe, and I wouldn't say it's a trailer for the Batman movie because I feel like that's an insult. But it is propaganda for the Batman movie. If everyone loved the Penguin, it's on a lot of people's favorite show of the year. I'm having the Batman Part 2 come out within a year of that. Yeah. Like you said, riding the excitement, getting more ticket sales. The first Batman was commercially, financially successful. And a part of that is making sure that the public sees promotional stuff and has the Batman's Elseworld verse in their mind consistently.
Yeah, I don't think it's any problem either having the main stay DCU with their Batman and then this Elseworld Batman that's not connected. I don't think that's an issue. I feel like people are smart enough to follow.
Well, James Gunn said as early as 3 weeks ago, I believe, in an interview on a Zoom call that
he's excited. He's excited to work on those kind of stories.
He likes the Elseworld stories. He says that's what he sees as the benefit of DC over Marvel.
Right, yeah.
He's literally picking that out as this great part of the world. And so, I mean, I'll take my personal stance on my guess, and I don't think that it has to do with Pattinson joining the DCU. I don't think we'll see Pattinson join the DCU. I think the tones are just too off. And I think James Gunn is smart enough of a creative to recognize that those don't fit. And like, it's like trying to make a round, peg fit into a square hole.
Well, the problem I see with it outside
Or
of
vice versa, however that saying goes.
It's close enough.
we get to but the problem I see with it is not besides just like the feel of the Batman. It felt very grounded, and Superman seems like it's going to be very mystical and like
Bright and encouraging.
Yeah, completely different tones. Is that they wanted to start over with the DCU because of how bad the DCEU went, and trying to kind of force the Batman into this isn't really starting over.
It's contrary to that. And it's like, if you're going to do that, why not give Ben Affleck a shot at it?
Right. Exactly.
Because he's older.
Henry Cavill. Why not?
Yeah.
Why are we picking and choosing what we're starting over with and not starting over?
Ben Affleck would have been a better fit for what they have in mind, which is like an older Batman with a Damian Wayne Robin. That's what I've heard for Brave and the Bold.
And I feel like I've seen it somewhere where James Gunn was kind of he didn't say it out directly, but he kind of hinted towards like he doesn't want Batman to get the center of attention. Like he kind of wants to introduce the other characters and give the other people, other characters their time to shine, because we've had so many, even in animated, Batman's always like that guy, and it might not even be a Batman movie, and he's just part of there. He's sitting there, and it's like, oh hey, it's Batman.
I think we've had more Batman probably than anybody else,
But they did try that with the DCEU, and it did not work.
And I think that didn't work is because of what Andrew's saying. Both of you said is you're gonna go in a weird chronological order that's not going to make any sense. It's just going to be all jumbled up. Like if you release the Batman and then you have the Batman 2, but then you're going to say like Brave and the Bold before the Batman gets released or whatever. Like that happened in the DCEU. It was weird how things were going out, because you felt like you got the Batman, then you got the Flash or whatever. It was all just like a jumbled mess that just kind of put together.
They rushed to the Justice League too fast.
They rushed a lot of stuff. And I have here in the notes that I took. So Batman was released March 4th of 2022. James Gunn and Peter Safran took over the DC in October of 2022. So
really, same year.
There is a giant gap where James agreed to take over knowing the success of the Batman, because it did really good, and he knew that there could be a potential for a second movie. So in my head, I'm going, okay, if you saw how well the Batman did, how good of a Batman that Robert Pattinson did play, you're taking over the DC and with Peter, and you're thinking like, oh, okay, I know where direction I want to go, but we're going to push this Batman out. It's just like, it's hard to see where James Gunn is going to come from. Like, did he have any kind of say over the script? He probably didn't. Matt Reeves is Matt Reeves. He's got his own.
Well, from what I've heard, he has final say on everything DC.
Yeah,
and so
Matt Reeves in charge. So.
Matt Reeves actually made a statement, I think, recently that he had shown the final draft of the Batman Part 2 script to James Gunn. And now, to what extent is James Gunn going to tell, at least in an Elseworld story, to what extent, to your point, what extent is James Gunn going to be like, oh, change this and this? Because it doesn't have any factor into any other story.
I mean, he... from the outside, at least, looking in, it seemed like he didn't like it if they're pushing it back a full year, right?
Well, do you think that they pushed it back a year because...
He said it's not finished.
...of Penguin's unfortunate success? Like, do you think he saw, like...
And they're like, oh, we need to put more Penguin in? Or
maybe, like have the Penguin in there, or he had something with the Penguin that maybe was going to happen, and he was like, you know what? Maybe we can ride the high on the Penguin and actually keep him around, because you don't really need to kill the Penguin off, right? Like,
I don't think that would be the case, because the Batman did so well with how much the Penguin was in the first one. Like everyone was excited for the Batman because of the Batman. Right. Like the Penguin was a strong supporting character who just happened to also have a fantastic show, which I feel like is what Andrew was saying is just great marketing for the next Batman. And he was supposed to be in it already. Colin Farrell said that he had 6 scenes in part 2. Who knows how long that is or how much of an impact that has on the story, but that's pretty decent if they're also including new characters that we haven't yet seen in this world. So I don't know if the success of the Penguin should push the Batman coming out even later.
Like maybe he felt it wasn't as strong as the Penguin, you know? Like maybe he saw like what he did, and even if it was in episodes, they were very long episodes. So maybe he saw the script of the Batman and was like, "No, we could do better," kind of thing. Like I seen the reaction that we got from the Penguin script. Two completely different characters, two completely different vibes and settings for both the Batman and the Penguin, but still in Gotham City, still a big part of Gotham City. So maybe like that's my thought is maybe he saw and was like, "No, we can go like a little more dark or something," because I feel like that's Matt Reeves' like go to is like make it a little bit more dark, make it a little bit more mysterious, make the people.
So you think maybe he's giving Matt Reeves even more freedom,
Yeah,
and that's why it's
Yeah.
not completed yet.
My-
He's like, hey, like
Like
go a
Andrew
little bit,
said.
go a little bit further here. You have even longer of a leash.
because we're not going to use Robert Pattinson.
My perspective is, I think before what I stated was that he showed the final draft of the script to James Gunn and got James Gunn's approval. But I think he showed the most recent draft of the script probably because there's been a lot of talk about how James Gunn writes scripts and this, or I'm sorry, how Matt Reeves writes scripts and this and that. I personally think that the movie is getting pushed for exactly what James Gunn said because the script isn't finished. Because I've looking at the numbers, right? 2017 is when they announced Matt Reeves as the director for The Batman. So they're planning The Batman as early as 2017. It doesn't come out till 2022. That's a 5-year gap, just like we're looking at right now between 2022 and 2027 for the part 2. So he took a long time before, and there were lots of reports at that time of Warner Brothers possibly being frustrated with Matt Reeves for taking so long in his writing process. And there's been talk that he writes scripts unconventionally, you know, maybe out of order. There was a recent Directors on Directors with Variety where Zoe Kravitz is having a chat with Matt Reeves, and Matt Reeves says that he does not like the way that he writes scripts. Basically, he says that he writes scripts that way because he doesn't know any other way, and he wishes more than anybody else that he didn't write scripts that way because he would also. He said she's like, I like that you take your time because it shows that you care, and he says, well, like it's good in every way except for the fact that it takes more time when you take your time.
And studios don't want you to take your time.
Yeah, they wanted. I'm sure they want.
Audiences, in some
press
cases,
right away.
don't.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone wanted the Batman to come out in 2025, except maybe people who have schedule conflicts with it. And there's a lot of complicated factors at play other than him just finishing the script too, because now we're looking at Nolan's movie, The Odyssey. The most recent report on Nolan's new movie that's filming next year is that it's going to be called The Odyssey and based on that epic story. And that's now cast Pattinson. So Pattinson was supposed to be filming, he's now supposed to be filming both of those movies next year in 2025, which the Batman, I think, is supposed to film at the end of the summer next year, which is why they've been saying in reports lately that it wouldn't have had time to be out by October 2nd of 2026 because they film in the end of summer next year and then they have a heavy VFX set up and heavy post-production.
Are they still planning on shooting at that time?
That's what I understand. Yeah, but that now they're giving themselves, which they wouldn't really need 2 years to finish the movie, but they've got the VFX time. Like I said, the report that I read said that it was going to be a very VFX heavy film, which is the same for literally any superhero movie, including Part 1, which we should get into that because there's a lot of rumors about that statement alone, but also all the prep that goes into post-production in terms of promoting the movie. I think they're just giving themselves extra leeway, and I think they see October as a good slate. I'm imagining Nolan's movie is going to come out in probably, he's filming next year. He'll probably get it out in 2026, honestly, the way Nolan operates. But maybe that pushes them further away from Nolan's The Odyssey, less competition. We also have no idea what's coming out in 2027. They could be putting it out, 2 weeks before the next Avatar movie, who knows? But that gives them, the October is a sensible time for a Batman movie. We know the movie's going to take place in the winter. That's approaching the winter in our actual year. It's Batman, so it just makes sense for it to come out near Halloween. And I think they're just giving themselves extra leeway with that date because personally, what I'm really frustrated with about the push is giving a date so far in advance when, like James Gunn himself said in his tweet, no one knows how long a script is going to actually take. Okay, if you're telling me that on big budget movies, it's going to take 2 years from the script is done to the movie hitting theaters because of pre-production, production, and post-production, then don't even announce the date until the script is done definitively, because then you still have 2 years. You still have 2 years to build hype. That's so much time.
I feel like they have to announce the date to let other studios and movies know when they're coming out.
But why? But why announce? You can
Because
still,
then those movies
you got-
won't try to release at that weekend.
Yeah, but I'm saying they have 2 years of notice. Announce it when the script is done.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I'm sure they want to try to save the weekend as soon as they can. That way they can get it out.
Yeah. Well, 2 years
Then-
is plenty of time for that. You know, it doesn't have to be any sooner than that.
Do you think it's
What movie's coming out 3 years from now? None of us know that.
as like simple as that? As like, oh, just Matt Reeves hasn't finished the script, so that's the reason why it's getting pushed. You know, because I feel like there's more bad news that we just don't know yet.
Or good news, and that's like the other part of it, like because we can always think like, oh, they're trying to like either shut it down or whatever it might be.
That was a rumor too that that James Gunn wants it shut down to avoid confusion with the new DCU.
Because I think the reaction after the Superman trailer got a lot of people hyped at DC and Warner Brothers, and everyone was like, holy crap, like people kind of like it. And then they're like, maybe we should, and that goes with the name change. Like maybe you don't call it the Batman, maybe you just call it the Man.
Maybe you call it
Pattinson.
Dawn of Justice, Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
See, me, if I'm Peter Safran, I'm the money head of production of DC, and I'm sitting next to James Gunn. He's like, "What if we just scrapped it?" I'm like, "Hold on now, hold on now, buddy. Don't we like making money here?
Yeah.
I thought we were a business because like the first one did well, and Batman movies are a guaranteed success at the box office." Unless you throw Batman into a Flash movie, that can somehow even make Batman not financially successful.
Let's put the numbers out there. So the budget for the first one was an estimated 185 million, and it brought in 772.3 million.
And it's
All right.
It was like a 2.5 or 2 hour and 45-minute long movie too.
Yeah.
So like that's harder to get people to go see a movie that long, and you get less show times at that runtime. So super impressive.
Yeah, definitely. I if you were taking over as CEO of DC in 2022 and you just had the Batman come out, it was awesome. It made that much money, and obviously the DC EU is not doing great. You still have some movies that are kind of at the end of production that still have to come out, and then you know that you're already going to be starting over. Wouldn't you want to just prioritize the Batman Part 2, get that out and going first, and then restart the DCEU? You know, kind of give people this transition period, you know, because the DCEU just ended this year, right? Like, when was the last movie that came out for that? Was it
Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom
Aquaman,
last
so
year?
at the very end of last year.
Yeah.
So if they didn't put so much effort into the Superman movie, they maybe could have gotten the Batman done a little bit sooner, knock that out first, and then go into kind of restarting from scratch.
I mean,
I feel like that's what I would try to. Maybe I'm just biased because it's my favorite movie and I won't really want to see the second one. But
if it's
I
me,
feel like it makes sense.
if it's me, I'm like top guy, creative control. I'm in James Gunn's seat. I'm handpicking directors that I think are good fits for different characters, and then like making them. Now I'm just gonna give them like a made up title. I'm like, you're the head of the division of Batman. You're the head of the division of the Flash, and I'm gonna expect them to be working and reporting in to me like once a week, twice a week, and then I'll make myself head of the main character of the DC universe, Superman. And then we all just have like a group meeting, like I said, once or twice a week, and then everything's working. And that's for like my DCU. And then Matt Reeves is over here, and he's only reporting to me for like, and maybe he's head of like Elseworld stories, not just Batman. So that Batman, Clayface, if we wanted to do like a weird Injustice movie or something, Matt Reeves has shown that he can handle a singular like universe, you know, and those stories don't even have to be connected. Like the Elseworld doesn't have to be the Elseworld universe. One shot stories or like a trilogy of unconnected stories unconnected to the DCU. I feel like then, you know, everybody's working towards a common goal, and then just like comics, you got the Elseworlds running on the side. People, hey, if Matt Reeves' name is on it, it's not connected. Simple as that.
How do you determine the release dates for all these? You just kind of like let everyone work at their own pace, or what projects are you prioritizing first?
Based off the storyline, I'd assume how you're going to start out. Like, because if you're the way he's saying it, you'd kind of just want your starter, and then you would kind of go from there. Because then you would want to have chronological, I would assume, of who would be coming out first.
My goal would be one DCU movie a year, one Elseworld story a year. and like maximum. So maybe an Elseworlds story comes out every 2 years or something, and then the minimum or max, like the dead set for the actual DCU continuity is one a year. And I'd say we're starting production on stuff, next year, and then the year after that, but movie.
Do what Marvel did. I think between Iron Man and all the way up to the final Infinity War, like I think they did perfect pacing through all those movies. Like there was other movies in between that weren't as significant, but they gave people what they needed. Like, yeah, I mean, nobody really likes Thor 2, but you watched it because it's part of what they were doing, and they were showing you what was it, the Reality Stone in that.
And they kind of had their Elseworld going on at the same time too with the X-Men.
Yeah,
because that's not a part of the MCU at all, but there's still X-Men movies coming out throughout that whole time.
It didn't matter. Yeah.
and this is the first time
And it worked out fine.
And everyone understood, like, hey, this is Marvel, but it's not the MCU.
It's like, oh, X-Men movies are Fox movies. It really wasn't that hard. I mean, I'm sure there are people who are confused by it. I just think it's overthinking it to assume that James Gunn would want to shut down a great IP. And I think, to me, James Gunn seems like a creative first. When he's making Creature Commandos, he's trying to make something fun and unique and entertaining. He seems like he loves comics. So to me, it's like, why is he going to get in another creative's face and say, we're going to shut down your thing? Or like, hey, you know how you wanted to do your own thing? We want you to come over. Like, because that's one of the other big rumors is the rumor mill from somebody who posted online who is known to be right sometimes and wrong sometimes, So it's like, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt or a pound of salt, as we sometimes say. But this individual said that Pattinson and Gunn are on the same team and they want Pattinson to be in the DCU. Matt Reeves is on the other side saying he doesn't want Pattinson to be in the DCU. And I don't necessarily think that makes a lot of sense because Pattinson doesn't initially really strike me as the kind to want to join the DCU. He's so busy. I don't know why he would want to sign on to like a 10-movie contract. Like they've got Tom Holland signed in like 5-picture, 6-picture deals. So I don't see why he would want to sign on to anything for that long when he is at the top of his game. I mean, the dude he's in a new movie with Zendaya that we have been seeing behind the scenes, still film before. He's in The Odyssey with Nolan. Like, he doesn't need to be tied down to that.
Yeah, he's got such a wide genre of filmography too, and
he seems to enjoy that.
Different types of movies, different studios, different, like all these like different aspects to his career that like no one in the MCU was doing.
Also,
the MCU?
Why would Gunn and Safran sit down and make a plan as in 2022 as the new heads of creative and business side of DC? Why are they going to sit down and make a plan and then present it to the public saying, here's our plan, Superman 2025, we're going to do Batman Brave and the Bold, we're going to do Supergirl Woman. Why would you go through that whole thought process and work on casting a Batman and all this just to turn around and go, actually, I think we might keep... You literally made a statement saying you wanted Elseworld stories to exist because you like Elseworld stories in comics, you think it's a good thing, you enjoy it, and made a statement saying you want Matt Reeves to do his thing over here and you want to do... And you named a movie. You named it Batman Brave and the Bold. Just to turn around on that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I feel like I would lose trust, in that world, because it's like, hey, we're going to do this. And then it's like, oh, no, actually, before we even get started, we're going to change our mind and go over here. And
which happened last time.
I mean, it's already happening now, right? They originally released this order of all these movies that are coming out, and now that's not the order that those movies are coming out. Aren't they working on a new Supergirl movie or something next?
I think it was a plan for Supergirl to come out second.
I saw an interview of James Gunn, and he was saying, no, it's just that the script got done, and it was really good, so they shifted focus to have that come out second.
So why is there there's got to be something of structure in a contract that's like, listen, you are obliged to finish this movie before you start and or go and direct another movie or whatever it may be, or start to act. Like, I feel like that is where a big chunk of the mess is that everyone, it seems like, is doing everything elsewhere too. They have a whole bunch of other jobs that they're doing and directing and trying to do. Like, why is that not set in a contract somewhere? Like, hey, you don't do this.
I feel like that's why we have James Gunn, because he's the creative head and he's a director. He's directing Superman. Like, that makes sense. James Gunn can't go on the side and direct a rom-com because he's too busy being the head of the DCU. Mm-hmm. So, like, it makes sense to have people that are locked in, like you're saying. But
if the script's not done, you can't just hold hold these actors hostage. They have to be able to go work.
Yeah,
Well,
you know,
the guy that was going to do the Brave and the Bold.
Andy Muschietti, which he's a touch and go director for me because he directed It Chapter 1 and 2, which I think we all like.
Yeah.
And then directed The Flash, which is universally not good.
Hated.
he directed The Flash.
Yeah, Andy Muschietti. And he's supposed to direct Batman: The Brave and the Bold.
I didn't know that he directed The Flash.
Yeah.
I need to know what James Gunn saw in him.
I see It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 in him, but I don't see The Flash.
Okay, so I did have a question. Is like, do you think them pushing back, and you can relate to this because I think Arron isn't the big anime guy, but when things get pushed back in anime and delayed, you can get like a 6-year hiatus, 7-year hiatus. There's been large times where you know,
which
you
I
don't
feel
get
like is
something.
usually like a health thing.
Right. Do you think this is like somewhat either similar or comparable to like when you push something like in a manga or even like an anime too, because they have to, you know, write it down and then they got to get it on the actual screen and make sure it goes for you?
Well, honestly, I read that in one report too, saying that Matt Reeves might have had to push the movie because of personal issues or something like that. Which that's what I'm saying about this is it's all just really our best guess. So I'm just going based on what makes sense, based on like deductive reasoning. But like it could be anything, but I don't think it's because the DCU issues. That's what I feel like. That's what all of the kind of like crumbs lead me to believe is that it doesn't make a lot of sense for it to be issues with the DCU. But again, it could be.
So is it maybe we're putting the blame in the wrong spot of putting it on James Gunn, and it's actually on Matt Reeves for just not having the script finished?
Here's my thing: if it is on Matt Reeves, and then James Gunn goes on his Twitter page and says the Batman movie is getting pushed for one reason, it's because the script simply isn't ready, and Matt Reeves just wants the best product he can possibly make. Wouldn't James Gunn be an asshole for doing that if it was actually James Gunn's fault? And like, why would you put the blame on another grown man if you know it's your fault? I feel like that would be super uncool. So that makes me think that he wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be a cool thing to do either, but
Can't find
He
it.
seems like a pretty genuine guy. I mean, I don't know him like I'm
Yeah.
not on a first name basis with him, but if I'm Matt Reeves and I see that, whether it's my boss or not, I'm going to tweet and be like, that's weird. Cause I remember the conversation where you told me it was because you wanted him to join the DCU and my script is finished, you know, like,
So besides us, because I know I won't, but do you think that this is going to run out of steam, like for the Batman? Like, do you think?
I don't think so.
Do you think there's like going to be people that aren't going to be like, oh, super excited about it?
Maybe a tiny amount, but I think the Batman audience will always show up to the Batman movies.
yeah, I agree. It's kind of like Spider-Man, you know, like
Look at how much money Batman vs Superman made. Wasn't even that good.
yeah. I think they'll have an audience, you know, like if Venom can pull in $500 million, you know, the Batman, no matter when it comes out, is going to pull in
500
just as
million dollars.
much,
Yeah.
you know, like if not more.
I'm sure it'll make more. If it made less than Venom Part 3, I'd be
like
pissed.
the fans of the first one are going to want to go see it, and I'm sure a bunch of fans of just Batman are going to want to go see it, even if they haven't seen the first one.
Right.
Probably they'll probably go see it, and then just casual movie fans will possibly even go see it because they like the Superman movie, even though they're not connected. They maybe not even know, and they'll just go and see it anyway. So I think no matter when this movie comes out, it's going to be successful. At least to a point, and then it will kind of get past that hurdle if it's word of mouth is good about it.
Yeah, I think that it'll be interesting to see who ends up getting cast for Andy Muschietti's Brave and the Bold Batman movie. Like going forward with Batman movies, there's a lot of uncertainty right now, which is what we were supposed to be avoiding with James Gunn's DCU. We're supposed to be getting out of the DCEU's uncertainty and into a new age of like consistency. And the Batman getting pushed is like already a red flag that reminds me, you know, of the you know, shell shock of all the red flags we used to get with the DCEU. And I don't want to like jump to that conclusion. I hope that's not the future we're looking at, because I heard too that Andy Muschietti's movie was getting pushed and he was going to do another movie prior to doing Batman Brave and the Bold now.
Oh, you're saying like a constant film delayed like every couple of years or whatever because of other people working, or
I don't think it's getting pushed because he's going to do another film. I think he's doing another film because
it got
gonna get
pushed. Yeah, I
he just has I think he just has a free spot in his schedule now, and he's like, might as well work.
I think that's the same thing with the actors, you know, signing on, like Pattinson signing on for the Odyssey and stuff. It's like, well, I'm free because right now we're not in production. So
Yeah.
I feel like you can't be under contract if there's nothing to actually work on.
Well, there's also like, to an extent, like, you know, if you get a certain call, you might break a contract. You know, Matt Damon said to his wife that he was going to take a vacation and not work for a while, and he told her with the one stipulation that if Christopher Nolan calls, and Christopher Nolan did call, and then he did Oppenheimer instead of taking a break from acting. And Jim Jeffries has a good moment. We both love Jim Jeffries. He has a moment in his stand-up where he had a crappy contract to do live shows over in, I think, in the UK, and then he got a deal to do an HBO special, and he was like, "Can I end my contract early?" And they said no, and he said, "I just left." So it's like there's always the option to just leave and face the repercussions and owe the people money on whatever. So that can change things too. I don't think it's quite unprofessional. I'm not saying Robert Pattinson did that, but I'm just saying the contracts and agreements aren't all the end all be all.
I'm sure too, like your main actor in a successful franchise has a little more power than just, like, hey, we're in charge here.
Yeah.
It's like, well, try to make the sequel without me. I'm Batman.
Right?
Not saying that he would do that,
Yeah.
but like you can't have the Batman Part 2 without Pattinson being the Batman.
Or at least without all of us being very frustrated and confused if they try to change the
Right,
actor.
exactly. That would be
disappointing.
worst case scenario. I think that would be worse than just not doing the movie, honestly. What else you got on your notes there?
Well, that was probably about it as far as.
We've got the other stories to talk about too a little bit.
Yeah,
here.
what
We've
else
got
is
more
going
time.
on in the DC world? I do want to say, I did think of a point, kind of going backtrack a little bit, is the MCU has done this where they've released project timelines, and then when you go back and look at actually what that phase was, it's different. Especially as of late, they've done that. So making movies, I want to put it out there, is very hard, and a lot of hurdles come up, with scheduling, with the script, with, like all these different pieces. So like it is understandable that, like, hey, these big studios need to put out something so that people have something to look forward to. But I think it needs to be said that we do have to understand that those things have to fluctuate.
Well, look at all the reasons that Mickey 17's been delayed, and that doesn't even have the weight of a bigger universe on it like
Right.
DCU movies do. It's been delayed 3 to 4 times now.
Yeah,
Mickey 17.
It's a lot more complicated making a movie and having all these pieces come together than just, hey, we got to make this, because we'll make a bunch of money. Like there's a lot more that goes into it.
Unless you're making the DCU.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of pieces that you want to be in that project, and that's something that makes me a little worried with things being pushed. But maybe it is a benefit that things are being pushed, is that when a movie's so good, you want those same people that worked on that movie to reprise their roles, whether it's the people on screen or behind the screen. Like Greg Fraser, for an example.
Or
I want him to be on part 2.
Or like Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
I think if I count it
Sometimes it's
right,
for the best. Sometimes.
there was 3 movies before you got the Justice League, which was, I think it was just not counting the actual Superman, because I'll just go Superman versus Batman, and then you have Aquaman, and then Wonder Woman, and then you just get Justice League, right? Minus the other Superman movies before Zod.
Well, you get Man of Steel, then I think it was
Batman versus Superman.
then Wonder Woman.
And then Aquaman.
Yeah, I think so.
So then they made the Justice League after 4 movies
I feel like
without
Aquaman
Flash?
came out after. Did it not?
No, I think you're right. I do think Aquaman came out after.
So there's your confusion. So like that is the main failure of the DC EU.
Yeah, because that was super weird because, it was super confusing when Aquaman came out, I think, for that reason. Because we had seen him in the movie wearing like a different suit, and then he's wearing the Aquaman suit.
And he was like king.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very
Man of
confusing.
Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Aquaman, Shazam, Joker, Birds of Prey.
Yeah, Shazam came out also. So Aquaman and Shazam came out after.
Which Suicide Squad? The Suicide Squad or Suicide Squad? Like
The
Suicide Squad.
The first Suicide Squad came out before.
Yeah.
so not the good one.
So then you have Justice, not the good one. And then you have Justice League
David
coming
Ayer.
out after Wonder Woman, which was in the same year. And then 4 years later, you have Zack Snyder's Justice League that came out.
Which is just longer.
Which is longer, but it's also supposed to go back in time to be before Aquaman.
See,
So
you see how an
it's
average
confusing.
viewer could want to just go cry at night?
Yeah, you're like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go watch Marvel.
They got a real nice structured timeline over there.
All right, so what else is going on with DC? What other news has been announced in the last few weeks?
One of the other things that I wanted to talk about was the Clayface movie. So it's another Elseworld story. I think it's being produced by Matt Reeves, produced by Matt Reeves, written by Mike Flanagan, who, if you don't know who Mike Flanagan is, he's big in horror. He wrote and directed the popular shows on Netflix like Bly Manor and Fall of the House of the Usher, and what's the other big one? I think Midnight Mass is one, and then
Yes.
Bly Manor, and then
Haunting of Hill House.
yes, thank you, because that was going to kill me if I would.
Is he supposed to direct too, or
I believe he's in plan to direct. The only thing I've heard is writing, but
That guy's going to do a DC film?
in Clayface
That's
too.
going to be terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, the Haunting of Hill House, the Betneck lady freaks me out. That guy's going to do some kind of super villain movie. Oh my God.
is that a part of the Batman's Elseworld, or that hasn't been confirmed
his-
at all?
You know what?
I think that
Because it was rumored that Clayface was possibly going to be in part 2 for a little while there.
I'm gonna read on it while you guys talk.
Well, if I had to guess, I mean, I'd probably put him with a Batman. It's got to be a Batman villain, right? So
Well, I don't think it's gonna. I think it's not
Just
gonna
a
have.
standalone?
I don't think it's gonna have Batman in it. Is what I was gonna say. Like, I don't think it'll be that
Okay.
closely related.
Penguin. Without.
Penguin, but as a movie. I've heard that this movie is like a low budget movie. Is that accurate?
I don't see the budget listed on here, but it says Flanagan, who has pitched DC Studios on Clayface project in 2023, tweeted in 2021 that he was really keen to do a standalone Clayface movie as a horror/thriller/tragedy. But he's already committed to write and direct The Exorcist. So he eventually got that pitch through now, and it's from my expectation is that it'll be standalone. It says Clayface, one of the earliest Batman villains, introduced in the 1940s. I think it's going to be a very different kind of movie in tone. I think it's going to be like he says, a thriller, an actual horror movie, but released under the umbrella of DC Studios, but not in the main DCU
It's terrifying.
continuity. I think it's another Elseworld story.
Have you seen any of those?
No.
Dude, go watch one just for a little minute, and you'll understand why I'm freaking out. Because that's gonna be, if it falls through correctly, that is a good thing to make creepy.
I think that this is something I've told you about immediately after I watched it, which is in Haunting of Hill House. That one of the episodes of Haunting of Hill House is one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen in my life. And it's filmed like 1917. Like, most of the episode is a oneer.
Yeah, you've told me about this
But
episode.
with incredibly complicated things happening, metaphors, magic realism, where the camera turns and comes back and the actors are replaced with the child actor versions of themselves from the flashbacks. Such complicated choreography to the scenes, complicated choreography to the camera work, and for the actors, they have a moment where they go up the stairs and then the camera is lowered down from upstairs back to meet with the audience downstairs, and then the scene ends with a big chandelier drop. So complicated stunts and stuff. It's the movement of the dance between the camera and the actors had to be so fine tuned, and it goes on for so long. I swear one of them is 8 to 9 minutes in the opening when they're at the funeral parlor. Such advanced technical filmmaking. I think you would really I feel like even if you watch that episode out of context, you could still enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just that one episode would be so.
Yeah, definitely.
The live action Clayface movie is part of the DC universe, not Elseworlds. James Gunn confirmed that Clayface movie is part of the DC universe and will be the third DCU movie released after Superman and Supergirl. So
Yeah, so they're going out of order completely of what they were originally released. Let's see. DCU new movie.
What do you think the big
the internet does seem a little back and forth on it. So take that again with a pound of salt, because I'm seeing different sources say different things.
So then what if you do it that way, what do you think is the end game here? As far as it's just to set it up for something extraordinarily big, because I know you have Creature Commandos 2, which by the way is
So good.
Delicious.
So good. Aaron doesn't care for it.
that is insane because it is canon.
So the first thing in the DCU he already doesn't like.
But I don't know. It's you're doing all these which I don't mind a Stallone Clayface movie. That sounds different, and it sounds like it could be really good. But and even the Supergirl, and then Jason Momoa getting casted as Lobo. Lobo is one of my favorite villains when I used to play. What was that? Injustice.
Thank you. That's the other news we want to talk about.
That was sick.
Yeah.
Lobo is also he's invincible. There's like only a few. I don't think he can actually. There's just so many cool things about Lobo, and then we're actually finally getting him and announced.
Yeah.
And
he like can't die. He like regenerates like basically like from nothing, right?
yeah, yeah. And he's, I guess, technically in a comic sense, sometimes he's an anti-hero.
Yeah. He's the main man. He's a mercenary.
He's a space pirate.
So I found the original list from a year ago of the DCU Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters. It was supposed to be Superman Legacy, The Authority, The Brave and the Bold, Supergirl, and Swamp Thing.
Ooh,
that was the order of the movies. And then the series was Creature Commandos, Peacekeeper, Waller, Booster, Lanterns, and Paradise Lost.
Yeah, so they're really not sticking to that plan.
Yeah, so maybe that wasn't an order, but
I didn't
it was
even
a list.
I didn't even remember the Authority.
Yeah.
I totally forgot.
Or like what
that.
happened
We
to
talked
Swamp
about it.
Thing. Now we're getting
Clayface
Clayface instead. And then Supergirl's jumping up before Batman comes in at all.
Which I kind of like it. It makes sense because I mean, I haven't read the actual comic that this Superman's supposed to be portraying, but I mean, I'm pretty sure early on in Superman's life, Supergirl comes into his life. So it's like
I'm a
I feel
little
like early on Batman would be like, yo,
I'm
what are you doing here?
I'm pretty disappointed, honestly, with that being moved up because I would have liked to see. I feel like we're basically getting two Superman movies back to back, getting Superman then Supergirl. I would have liked to see, either Wonder Woman or Green Lantern, and I feel like we just haven't gotten a Green Lantern movie in so long. I wish we were getting a movie instead of a show, and I wish that was coming out sooner because I want to see Green Lantern on the big screen. In like a James Gunn sense, like a Guardians of the Galaxy style Green Lantern.
Is that one going to be animated too? The Green Lantern?
No, it'd be
No,
live
it's
action.
live action, I
Okay.
think.
But I think it's, plans keep changing, but it's set to be a TV show.
And it's set to be on Earth, too.
Yeah, buddy cop style TV show, I think on HBO Max, it would have to be.
Well, the thing about Max is that they are pretty good about like keeping their stuff around. So if anybody is lost, you can find like the Batman on there, so you can watch everything. So hopefully they keep it in a decent order and they put it on Max to where you're not like, where am I going to watch it? Oh, I have to go to the movie theater. But if not, because that's the other thing is like, do they go straight to the movie theaters with most of this stuff, or are they going to go to Max? Like that's my other concern because I can wait for a movie, but
Movies, definitely theaters, I would assume, for all of them.
Too much money.
Shows, obviously, just straight to Max.
I mean, unless they make like a smaller movie, like if they did a scrimpy, $15 million Clayface movie, I could see them potentially putting that not out in theaters. But I still think in my opinion, they should.
Right? 'Cause
I feel like they should.
Yeah, it would probably make more than 15 million in theaters, right?
It's
Like
DC properties, Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna throw it on HBO Max anyway 2 weeks after it's out of theaters.
Yeah.
So get best of both worlds.
Right.
But this is a lot of cool news. I'm excited for Lobo being in Supergirl. Lobo pops up right away in like the new DC animated movies, right in the first Superman movie. So like he's just an interesting character. Like we talked about, he's from another planet, crazy regenerative healing abilities that basically make him impossible to kill. It'll be cool to see him interact with a Kryptonian, with Supergirl. And Jason Momoa has wanted to play Lobo for a long time. I mean, there's been talk about this since he was playing Aquaman. That they were talking about potentially keeping him as Aquaman and having him also play Lobo at one point. So it's cool to see that casting come through. It's a lot of interesting news. I think the only news that's definitively bad is the pushing of the Batman. Everything else is like, fine, it comes out of order. No big deal to me. It's not like I was on the edge of my seat begging to see The Authority. But you know what I am on the edge of my seat for? The Batman Part 2. So it needs to come out in a timely manner. Or not necessarily a timely manner, but at least when you told me you were going to put it out, we had a verbal agreement that you guys were going to give it to me in a certain time, and you keep bullshitting me and pushing it back. So just don't give me a release date till you know that's the definitive release date. I get that things change. If something drastic happened, then say that something drastic happened. Don't say the script just isn't done.
when you like zoom back and look back at it, 5 years isn't that crazy. Like it's
almost
normally in a lot of trilogies we get like every third or fourth year, so like 5 is definitely kind of on the longer side of it. But I mean, how long was the Top Gun Maverick sequel? You know, how long was there's a bunch of sequels that took a lot longer.
Top Gun actually got pushed back 6 times before it actually released too. So
Really?
Maverick, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so here's my thing. It is and it isn't a big amount of time. I agree with you because Nolan's movies, Batman movies, came out 2005, 2008, and 2012. 3 years and 4 years in between. So this is just 1 year more. But also you could look at it in the sense that you're going to be 30 when that movie comes out.
Well, you didn't have to.
Doesn't that feel like like a lot of a difference?
From 25 when I first saw it or whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's a sixth of your life.
At that point, yes,
it will be.
Okay, thank you. I didn't need that perspective.
A sixth of your 30-year-old life.
If you want to put it, I think we spoke about it before we turned on the cameras, but Avatar: The Way of the Water was announced in 2009. And then just came out, last year, 2022 it was. So, and because James Cameron wanted to get the technology right, and he wanted to get better cameras and all that extra stuff to make it look visually pleasing, that is a huge gap. And then they still did numbers just because of, I think I said it, the cult following that movie strictly has.
Well, one thing a lot of people keep saying, though, as a negative is look at all the projects that James Gunn's put out in a 5-year span.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
He put out Guardians 3. He put out Creature Commandos. He put out The Suicide Squad. He put out
the Guardians special.
And he'll have put out Superman. And that's all, I think the earliest one of those is The Suicide Squad, which I believe came out also in 2022. So it's all in a 5-year time span too, and he's got 5 projects.
And what has Matt Reeves done?
Sat there and worked on the script for the Batman Part 2.
The Batman.
But again, like I said,
there was the writer's strike and all that, but James Gunn got 5 projects done in the same amount of time, which is crazy to think about.
Scab. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. But also, and obviously he could have not written in that time, definitely, and then just worked really hard and fast outside of that. But Matt Reeves, like I said earlier, he was signed on as director and writer for the Batman in 2017, didn't put it out for 5 years till 2022. We're getting the same gap. It's just harder because we've already seen the first movie. So it's very possible that it's just the process is the process, and it takes a certain amount of time. I kind of disagree with James Gunn's statement on his Twitter post that big movies take 2 years from the finish of the script, because obviously that's very variable.
I'm no director.
That didn't seem like that's what happened with the Superman movie that's coming out.
Yeah, no, a lot of times it seems like it gets done in less than 2 years.
That's because he went in with exactly knowing what he wanted to do with the Superman, and he wasn't
Well, don't tell me something different then. If you did something different.
Yeah, it's just people do. I mean, they get. And he's saying on big budget movies, but still, I don't think Oppenheimer necessarily took 2 years to be on screen from when Nolan had finished the script.
Yeah.
I feel like it happens pretty consistently where it's...
Some movies start production before the script's even finished.
Yeah.
Like Iron Man. And that's still considered to be one of the best movies in the MCU.
I think... Well, also, look at... If it took 2...
Not saying I want them to do that with the Batman Part 2.
If it took 2 years between big budget movies to get made, how is it possible that Ridley Scott put out Napoleon last year and Gladiator 2 this year? How is that physically possible? Both big,
working on both at the same time,
and he's 86. So I mean, this man is either his body can withstand insane amounts of coke, and he's working at the speed of light.
No, he probably went as soon as one was wrapped. He started in pre-production of the other, and then kind of was in the post-production and probably the pre-production of both at the same time, I would imagine.
Or look at Guy Ritchie movies. Guy Ritchie has one movie come out every year consistently. It's possible.
I think
the MCU. I mean, all of those movies came out sometimes multiple in a year, and they were all connected.
Well, and then it goes back to are your directors committed? Are your actors committed? So it's kind of how are they? Is everybody on James Gunn team? Are they as invested in it as he is? Because then that's when you get those good movies like you did in the MCU. The Russo brothers had some good movies, and then
some good movies,
some
of the best movies.
And then you have James Gunn, and then you have Matt Reeves. So it's if you get a good collection around you of guys and women that want to do what the goal is, then I think you're gonna be able to produce movies quickly and not have the said delays. So like, some of the directors that are out doing different movies, it kind of makes you think like, are you with us or are you kind of like? And I get it, you have free time, but like maybe try to focus more.
Denver
on-
watches so many mafia movies. Are you with us? Are you against us?
So I looked up the release dates for the MCU. We had Iron Man in 2008, Iron Man 2 in 2010.
That's no movies for a 2-year span. That's not like how things are later on.
The first Avengers in 2012. So
By the way, that's Captain America: The First Avenger, not the first Avenger movie.
Oh, you're so right. But
Animal.
where is the Avengers?
The Avengers came out 2012. What year?
Yeah. That's what. Sorry, it's the title's on here weird. It says Marvel's The First Avengers, May 4th of 2012, but that's
Oh, okay. So it is the Avengers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next year in 2013, Iron Man 3. So that's 4 movies with the same character that came out in what, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 5 years.
Damn.
Same span.
So that's 4 huge superhero movies.
And again, that's different directors. Different. This is just in our example. It's just Matt Reeves.
Right.
That I don't know. He's still got a lot of backing. He's still got a lot of support.
I mean, do you still trust him?
Matt Reeves, yeah.
Yeah, same.
My faith in him hasn't wavered. Me being annoyed at him has raised. My faith in his abilities to produce a good movie. I mean, he's shown us.
I still love you, babe, but I'm not happy.
He's given us
James Gunn wrote this script.
But look, he's I'm sorry, I'm not James Gunn. That's a perfect. Yeah, but he's given us Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes, and the Batman. And so I have faith in his craft and his ability. So I want him to make the best movie possible. I just feel like, come on, like if you tell me I'll make the best movie possible, but it's gonna take 10 years, I'd be like, all right, have somebody else do it so that Robert Pattinson won't be 50 years old when it comes out. Have you guys seen all the memes?
Also, I think we all came to an agreement when the Penguin came out. They're like, oh, we're so cool with pushing back the Batman, just as long as you keep giving us what we want with like extra stuff like Penguin. But if we're not gonna get another Penguin, if we're getting a Clayface and whenever, then it's like, okay, we're still 6 years, 7 years out past what we're waiting for. But
Yeah.
I'm cool with a really good freaking Batman movie, but like just
My worry is that just the longer we wait, the less people are going to be able to work on it that were in the first one. Whether it's
Makes it
people
more
on
complicated.
Screen,
Yeah.
maybe they'd have to rewrite someone out of there because now they're busy, or
Colin Farrell loses all that weight.
exactly. I mean,
Crazy.
he used to be a stud back in the day, so
Going and tripping and falling out of his fat suit and back into that.
that's right. So yeah, any other news from DC that's come out in the last?
I'm
few
sure there
weeks?
is probably something I'm missing. Let us know if we missed anything in the comments.
Something we didn't talk about in this episode specifically was how many views that Superman trailer got.
Like 14 million or something, or 40,
I think it was
43.
like 41 million or something in 3 weeks versus was one of their last.
Man of Steel was like
and,
50 million in
yeah,
11
like,
years or
yeah.
something.
So the excitement is real for this new Superman movie. I mean, is it just those same people watching it over and over again? Maybe. Maybe.
Some of them.
Because I know we watched it like 3 or 4 times the day of the podcast that we did for that. So
I've showed my kids a couple times, and
I've watched it many times.
yeah.
I've watched us watching it again.
Yeah, so the excitement is real for the new DC projects.
oh yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I'm most excited for the Batman Part 2, and that's why the passions are so high. But just know that like we love DC. That's why we're passionate about it. That's why we have complaints. It's because we care about it. At the end of the day, when they do put it out, we're gonna go see it, and we'll be excited about it. It's just like
We'll be happy.
Like if I can see my Christmas gift under the tree for all December, and then you're like, actually, you have to wait till next December to open these gifts. Like I'm gonna be frustrated.
It's a good way to put it.
But I am still excited to unwrap his movie, and I think it'll be a great movie. And I think it's really cool that I believe we're gonna get Greg Fraser back. Obviously, Matt Reeves will be writing and directing. Pattinson will be back. It'll be cool to see all the pieces come together and to see Gotham in the winter, which I don't think we've seen since like Batman Returns.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. We have extra space on our wall right now for the Batman Part 2 poster. So they gotta get it out sooner than later.
The Dark Knight Rises was winner.
It was?
Yeah, remember they're walking on the ice. they tossed him in the river, and he fell through.
Yeah, you're right.
Tossed him in the river?
Yeah, the Bane's hooligans made him walk
Oh,
across the
yeah.
river.
Well, that movie's an epic. It takes place across a long period of time. You're right. You are right. When they're
That
doing
final battle too, I think, was in the snow.
they're like death or exile. And
Yeah.
it's like exile. And they're like, go ahead, walk across the frozen lake. Yeah. But like that's to me like that's Chicago.
I know what you mean.
That's Batman in Chicago.
Yeah.
Where's Gotham at? No, yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts here?
No, I do want to say that I appreciate you guys for clicking and watching this video, especially if you made it this far to the very end of us just rambling and fucking like old men with mustaches and gray hairs. Like, I don't like that Batman's not coming out when I wanted it. I wanted it sooner. Obviously, we wanted it sooner. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure that, like we didn't say at the beginning of the episode, but make sure that you like the video, hit the notification bell, and the subscription button. Make sure that you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X. Aaron, Denver's choking on the microphone over here.
Join the Discord.
Yes.
Join the Discord. Yeah.
I mean, that's how we organize this hang.
That's right.
You could be on an episode of Backseat Directing if you're in the Discord. That's your chances greatly increase.
But you have to join.
Yeah.
If you're not on the Discord, you can't be a guest. That's just the way that it works.
Not just on the episode, but maybe you don't live locally, and we'll reference you. You know, like
Exactly.
McNeil sucks, Justin sucks,
Yes.
LJ you suck,
Shats.
Jay you suck.
Yes, exactly. Boom, there we go. There is more people than that too.
Yeah.
I won't drop any government names, but Cookie, you need to join the Discord.
Yes. Yeah. He's been in and out of it. We can drop his name. Zach's been on the show, but he works. He said at the firehouse he gets too many notifications from us, and he can't figure out how to turn them off.
What is he? Oh, that's an old man right there.
I tried to turn it off for him, but for some reason it didn't work. Corey, I think, is in there, just never talks. Keegan needs to join. But you can talk to people like Denver who are on the show, and obviously Aaron and myself are in there talking all the time. Denver's really active in there. But like, you can let us know what you thought, shit on our opinions directly. Yeah. But you can also do that in the comments if you're not in the Discord. So just the interaction is what we find so fun about this. We want to build a community of people that also care about just dumb, stupid stuff like we do.
Yeah, you can click on the link in the description of this video to join the Discord. It is totally free to join, so we're easy to get a hold of.
Yeah, if that link doesn't work, by the way, because it does expire after a week, just comment or hit us in one of our DMs, and we'll send you an updated link to the Discord. We just said it's free to join, and it's tons of fun. We do polls and stuff in there. People share their original work. You know,
we just did a full episode that came out about our favorite movies of 2024, and we put like our list in the Discord, and then some other people gave their lists, and we talked about some of the best movies that we saw this year and some of the worst.
We try to give the episode topics in there early too, and most recently I put an early clip from one of the episodes in the Discord, so we'll try to do stuff like that, more like little teasers and stuff in the Discord for people that enjoy watching.
But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and that's a wrap.